Okay, main host just decides to take a sip of water as I'm recording, give him plenty of time. So welcome back to the show. We're back. We still got Ryan as a guest. Appreciate main host can't even do a rundown. I got to do it for him, but a little behind the scenes here. All right, so want to get into the injury roundup first, and then get into recap the week.
Yep.
Okay, so CMC, I noted. What are you laughing about?
I'm
Yeah, you don't know
I'm
much.
taking
You
the
don't know
rundown.
much. All right, so CMC maybe week 11 return. We'll see. I know that Jack and I said if. Um, Honestly, I still think it's an if. I think he could miss the whole season. I'm just going to throw that out there with
Yeah.
this injury because I feel like training camp he was like, oh yeah, he's going to be back, no worries. And here we are with 7 weeks into the season, and we're talking about a week 11 return.
Right. And I mean, the Debo situation kind of adds on to this. Like the 49ers just aren't to be trusted with their injury reports and all that. So not gonna believe anything until he's back at practice and he gets some limited full practices in, and we can actually expect to see him on the field. I mean, not too much of a concern right now. I mean, no, I know Jordan Mason is kind of fallen off a little bit, but I think that's more so just tougher matchups for the Niners. I expect him to still be solid, and especially with the receivers out that we'll talk about, they'll probably lean on him a little heavier these next couple weeks.
Agreed. And I know we just saw Ryan drop here, so back to flying solo with you and I. But appreciate him coming on in a big spot and helping us out with that redraft.
Yeah, yeah. Our first guest. We want to have more guests on. I know we kind of do this at weird times, so we're glad to have him on. Hopefully, we have another guest or two in the future. He might still come back. If I'm sure he would have dropped it. He might still come back here. Yeah, there he
Oh,
is.
he's back. He's back.
Yeah.
Undercrack. Ryan back. He had to get Samatoa. He was screaming. So
There we go.
yeah, again, we'll see how long we last. But again, appreciate you guys having me on. I've been a long time viewer, a long time listener, so it's great to be on.
Hey, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, we love talking to our fans.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't miss much here, Ryan. So we just went over the CMC injury. We're at Brandon IU torn ACL. I think it was torn ACL and MCL. So tough for Jack
Yep.
to lose him, but he didn't do a whole hell of a lot. But I know Jack, you probably expect him more for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it feels like he was starting to. I know he had a tough game this week, but that was kind of expected against KC before the injury. But the week before, I think he played Seattle, another tough week. Yeah, he hasn't really played too well, so he hasn't really been in the lineup the last couple weeks. So it's still tough though. You expect big things, and I'm sure he missed all training camp. So this first month or so of the season was kind of like a training camp for him. So I was expecting a little bit more from him the second half of the year. Um, but it is what it is. Injuries happen, and could have been worse for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
And
think this
then
opens up a lot for Ruff here if Debo comes back, and I think is Ruff still have Juwan Jennings? He must, right?
I'm pretty sure he does have Juwan Jennings. Let's pull it up here.
It sucks saying like winners and losers of injury, but Ruff's obviously the big winner here with Juwan and Debo.
Yeah, he still has Juwan Jennings.
Yeah,
I don't think Pearsall does much, but we'll see.
true. Yeah, I mean, he was in the mix there, and if Juwan or Debo miss more time, then feel like Pearsall could be playable in the right matchup.
Yeah. Metcalf week to week, so Ruff still has plenty of depth. I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure Ruff's not worried about it. Um, Anything we want to hit on with Metcalf?
No, I didn't see much. It's week to week. The first reports.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, he's got enough depth right now to withstand a couple weeks. And obviously, you don't want to see a guy go down, but if it's gonna happen to him, it's a receiver for him.
and then Jaden Daniels allegedly week to week. He was on the sideline after he went out, and they handled the Carolina Panthers pretty easily. So I think he's completely fine, and that's just coach speak. I don't think there's too much to talk about there.
Yeah, just I mean, surprised he didn't go back in. No fractures on the ribs. I guess that just speaks to the toughness of the kid, but hopefully he can man up in these next few weeks and play through some bumps and bruises, but we'll see.
Okay, all right.
I think Drew
Yeah,
Brees
okay.
had played through some crack ribs. I check. in the
Drew Brees
past.
did play when on in his age 37 or 38 campaign, played through some cracked ribs. So
Yep. Yep. That's
yeah,
good. It's a good point, Jack. That's, something to look out for.
yeah.
And
So
Daniel, is he tough?
it's
All right. Okay.
next.
All right. So Tua possibly to play this week. Obviously impacts Jill with her two players in Miami, Kevin with Hill, and then Ruff with Mostert.
Yeah. Um yeah, huge bump for Jill here. She needs it. She needs it bad.
Yeah.
Waddle's basically been unplayable. A-Chain obviously had a decent week this past week. So yeah, Waddle's been unplayable. Tyreek has been borderline unplayable. I know you have to play Tyreek every week, so that's what makes it even tougher. But Kevin's been able to withstand it, so his team just gets even scarier with Tua coming back.
Yeah. And next line item on the injuries is Evans with that hamstring that looked pretty
Didn't
bad.
didn't look good.
Yeah, did not look good. So I mean, at least he's getting Tyreek Hill, hopefully back with full strength with Tua. But looks like Evans is definitely going to miss some time here.
Yeah, we'll see if they throw him on IR. I know IR is what, 4 weeks now,
For
so it's
yeah,
not which they might. But Kevin was in the market for a receiver beforehand, so it'll be interesting to see if he really pushes and tries to make a deal with a team that's wide receiver heavy here.
yeah. And then last one here, I have Godwin ankle exploded. So Ryan, how you holding up, guy?
Yeah, that was tough to wake up to. Went to bed last night, didn't watch the second half, but that was tough to see. The sleeper
Yeah,
notifications that just not are nonstop, questionable, out, active, healthy, not healthy. So seeing that one, definitely tough. Wide receiver two in the year. I think he's a top 15 or top 12 guy. So it's gonna be a huge loss for the team. Gonna need some guys to step up. Jaden Reed, especially Marvin Harrison. Um, Good thing I made the trade for Pollard, I guess. Get some depth more at running back.
yep,
Lex. And yeah, that's definitely tough to swallow.
yeah. And I think out of all of these injuries here, that's probably the worst injury and the most impact to a team. So tough to see for you.
Yeah, um, that is tough because you probably make the case for steal the draft so far. I think it
Yeah,
was third or fourth round. Ryan grabbed Chris Godwin. I mean, last year I think he was on my team last year actually, and he was an afterthought. So this has been a hell of a run for him. I know he tore his ACL or had a pretty bad injury a couple years ago. So last year was kind of a get back year for him, to like kind of regroup. And this year he's really gone back to that level that he was at pre-injury. So yeah, hopefully he can bounce back, and I'm sure he'll be putting up points for someone else's team next year.
yeah. All right. So next on the list, I have a recap of the week 7 games. I don't know how in detail you guys want to go. Up to you. But first one I got here is Hermes' first dub, so big win for him.
Yeah,
Tough loss for Baum.
yeah. I could start us off if you want to click on the matchup here. It looked like Hermes had a big week, and Bum obviously I think he was a low point scorer. Bum actually sent me a text saying his matchups were cheese, which I'm assuming means that he had some bad matchups. I didn't think they were the worst matchups though. Diggs just had a tough game, or Tool just had a tough game. Sorry, I forgot he's got some nicknames. Um, I really expected more from Jackson Smith, Najigba, but it's just because that game was pretty high scoring. I mean, they scored 34 points. But hey, look at that. Maybe drop it next week, but 15 points out of Richard, if that's how you pronounce it, with I think he hit a 59-yarder at one point. Um, he says he'll be nervous next week if he loses, and we'll see in the preview, but he's got a big statement game against Kevin. That'll be a big one.
For sure will be, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler just continues to hit at kicker for some reason. Yeah, I think he was worried about losing his best player for the week, but Richard stepped up and filled in the spot nicely for Aubrey. So it's Aubrey fresh next week.
Wait, scroll up real quick to the top. Oh wow. Yeah. So I was kind of laughed at on the call last week about considering May over Love, but looks like Tyler would get 4 more points out of his quarterback position if he started May over Love. That's all I'm saying. Um, yeah, I mean Hermes overcoming a 5 point week from Stroud just goes to show how good the skill position players are. Montgomery got banged up early, but St. Brown, Jacobs, Bowers, McLaurin, and he's got a good team. It's honestly, we say it every week. It's amazing that that was his first win because I mean his roster's stacked, and he should be getting Cooper Cup this either this week or next week. And I saw there's some trade rumors going around with Cup involved in real life, not in our league.
Maybe in our league. We'll see.
Maybe.
Next up, I have Kev's continued dominance. So big week by Kev. Where is he right here?
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much to talk about. I mean, Derrick Henry is just. I think I saw something on Twitter today that he's on pace to break. Shoot, what's his name? Dickerson's rushing record.
No, wow. He's a beast. He's a fucking beast. Yeah, I think he had like 30 yards like going into the like halfway through the third quarter, and then you
Yeah.
look up, he's got 170 yards. It's ridiculous. Yeah, he's the RB1 in the season, and it's hard to imagine anyone even coming close to him.
Yep.
I mean, look at
Right.
that. What's his low?
Yeah, I mean, he just continues to be unbelievable. And kind of throughout his history, right, he's always getting stronger as the season's gone on. So yeah, scary. Kevin's looking like a wagon. He gets Joe Mixon back, and he instantly was Mixon back last week, or is this his first week back? This is his first week
Sec
back, right?
no, he beat
Second week
He
back.
played last week. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, he's got Mixon back. He's Derrick
yeah, look at
Henry's
that.
doing what Derrick Henry does. Yeah, I think Kevin's definitely gonna be tough to beat with, especially Tua coming back now, like you said, and Tyreek's probably gonna start popping off too. So he loses Evans, but I think that probably kind of washes out with getting Tyreek back, and um, yeah, 6-1, and looks like he's probably not gonna stop. So
What's his receiver situation looking like here? He's got a few guys he can plug in here. Keenan
Yeah.
Allen, Lockett. I mean, obviously not guys you probably don't want to play, but I think it's fine when you have so many superstars on your team.
it's got
Yeah.
Um,
D Hop too, and I think they're
yep.
kind of going around. D Hop might move, and I know that was part of the deal that Kevin and Tyler made. So sure, he'll go to the Chiefs, and they'll win another Super Bowl. So might be big for Kevin.
Yeah, Kittle gets a big boost here too with Ayuk. Ayuk was kind of always taking that middle of the field routes. So they might like to lean on Kittle a little bit more here down the stretch.
And
And then
we're gonna call out when somebody claps back at us. Carney turning the other cheek, not clapping back at us about George Pickens because we both said to bench him, and
yeah,
George Pickens had a big night.
yeah, huge night. He looks like he has a connection down with Wilson, which is huge for him. Has first touchdown on the season. Um, yeah, I didn't watch the full game, but seemed like Wilson was slinging the rock there, which was surprising after watching the first half.
Yeah, completely different ball game after. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about on that matchup?
Um, no, I mean just Kari's gonna have to start stringing some wins together here, 3-4, and Rashid is creeping up at 2-5, and I mean Jill's still 2-5, and we gotta mention Hermes now, only 2 games back for the 6th seed.
And then next one I had up is Ruff's Revenge. He's 5-2 after being 0-2, and you wanting to throw some smoke on him, Jack.
Yep,
And you're getting it now.
the whole pod wanted to
Thanks,
throw
Jack.
No,
some
just you,
Thanks, Jack.
solely you.
What's
So
sorry, can we look back? What's Ruff's? Who was he beaten in those 5 games? We could, I don't know if we can quickly look at that, but
yeah, let me go.
Not me.
it's like, well, that's good, Jack. That's good. Yeah, if you can't pull it up quickly, that's fine, Tim. But
Just click the,
um,
yeah, there you go.
Where's Ruff? So Hermes week 6. Tyler.
Let me put up 83.
It's rough.
Only put up 65.
Million. All right, so he's beaten the pretenders so far, but
He's putting up big weeks though.
Yeah.
he has put up some big weeks, and he's another one who kind of turned it on and gonna be scary down the stretch.
Almost didn't play Tank Bigsby the night before. He
Yeah.
was talking
Yep.
about he was debating Tank Bigsby versus I forget who else he would have
I
played.
think
Was it Singletary?
he had Mostert in, I believe. He had
Okay.
Mostert in. So I looked at it last night, and then of course I had to, make fun of him at your party, and thanks for that. So should
I
have
mean,
should have kept most of it.
White with a huge game too. Those are
Yep.
some I mean, obviously it's garbage time. He was catching some touchdown passes, but still a big week. And you get Swift back next week. So having a win with probably his best running back being Swift, I mean, you can make a case for Bigsby now. But that'll be tough for Bigsby to repeat if ETN does come back. Um, but yeah, sorry, I'll let Ryan kind of talk about this matchup a little bit more. Obviously, it's his own matchup.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I know I had texted it the pod. I love my matchups this week. I was really excited about this week. It looked like I had on paper some really good matchups. Um, Jaden Reed kind of disappointed. Godwin died. Kyron Williams, had a solid week. Jefferson had a solid week, but other than that, kind of game script went against Pollard at the end of it, and
Yeah,
it just is what it is. One of those weeks, but yeah, we'll get back on track next week, and I think I'm over most of my buys
yeah,
at this
you've had
point.
some early buys. Yeah.
So kind of happy with where I'm sitting right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Being called out as a pretender, is that gonna rattle the cage a little here for you,
Yeah,
guy?
yeah. I like to let the talking heads talk, and I like to do what we do on the field. So keep it strictly professional, but keep it business. But as we know, business is always first.
Hey,
Fair enough.
pretty good week for our contenders and pretenders picks. 2-0 contenders, 0-2 pretenders.
That's right. All right. So next matchup, me and Jackie, Najee's redemption. I needed this just personally.
Wait, I don't get what do you mean by Najee's redemption? I don't know if this is like some sort of make-a-wish where they had to give him a touchdown with 30 seconds left when they were up two scores from
So
10 yards out.
I texted
Uh,
Jack. I fell asleep at like the end of the third or start of the fourth. And Ryan, I'm not joking. I woke up with like 45 seconds left on the clock watching Najee Harris run that ball in, and I couldn't be more fired up.
Not sure what they're doing, not just kneeling the clock out. Maybe, I mean, first time Steelers have scored over 30 points in probably 4 or 5
Hey,
years,
big
so maybe
week.
they just wanted to keep running it up. But
Yeah, I mean,
um,
he's had a couple back-to-back weeks here. He's put up, what do you have, like 18
yeah,
points, 20 points last week, and
100
15.
yards and a touchdown. Yeah.
And I am hopeful that maybe this offense gets aligned and Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith can sit Najee down and say, stop this nonsense of going east and west. And you're just going north and south, and that's it. No more dancing around the line. You hit the
5 years
hole and
later,
you go.
we'll see.
Seriously. And I'd like to give him an excuse that this offense has been so bad that he has tried to make plays, but he is not that guy. You just need to go north and south. Otherwise, we're going to put Jalen Warren in. And that's what they need to tell him. As a Steelers fan, that's what needs to happen here. All right. I'm done. I'm done with my Najee take, Najee minute. Tough loss for you, Jack.
Yeah, Jaden almost matches my quarterback playing like half a quarter, so that's tough.
One drive.
And yeah, I was so close to doing it too, but just I think Goff was on the waivers, and I was gonna drop Polk. Tyler was trying to talk me into dropping Polk like mid-game after he had a couple drops, and I wish I did drop Polk for a quarterback, and I maybe win the week if I have a quarterback that puts up 15 points. Um, yeah, tough week
Ah,
for Kamara.
sorry, Jack. Can I jump in there? Where are you at with Richardson right now? Is Richardson someone that you're looking to
Yeah, I think I'm just
maybe
gonna hold him
drop
at
or
this point. I don't. The only reason I played him this week is 'cause Caleb was on a bye. Yeah, I mean that's just awful. That's just not good. I'm holding out hope for that 26. Granted, those are some good defenses. Those couple weeks there, Chicago, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh are all solid defenses that have played well against the QBs. But it doesn't get any easier as they play Minnesota, Buffalo, and New York and Detroit. So It's hard to imagine playing him, but at this point, he's probably just gonna ride the bench, and maybe I roster 3 quarterbacks here. Um, yeah, tough week for Dobbins. It seems like Arizona just sold out to stop the run. I think Herbert ended up throwing for over 300 yards. Arizona knew that they had one of the worst run defenses, so I'm sure that was the focus all week. You just hate losing these games when you only had to put up barely over 90 to win the game. So hey, it happens. We move on to next week. 3-4 now. I wanted to call myself the pretender, but Tim wouldn't let me. But I truly believe my team might be on the downswing here, and I'm getting really nervous with Rashid, Jill, and Hermes creeping up from behind.
Okay, and a perfect segue, Jack, to the last matchup here. So I have contender Rashid contending. I got to call out the exact timestamp when we post this to YouTube because I need Rashid to listen to this. He sent me a text on Saturday, more or less, that, hey, win loss, I'm calling it here. He is one game away from being in playoffs, as you noted. He's 1 win and 30 points for. I quickly looked at his stats, so I'm just going to read off a couple of bullets to you guys. Number 1 overall QB, number 1 overall player. 4 top 10 running backs. 2 top 5 tight ends. Max points for what he's left on the bench this season, 141.2 points a game. That's second in the league to Kevin at 142.6. And I think the difference between these two teams is Rashid has more depth than Kevin does. And Kevin's lineups are a little easier to set because he's got his studs and he's riding his studs. So Rashid kind of throwing that out there. I think this is the perfect episode to have Ryan on because Ryan and I have both done a reboot in the last couple of years. I am strongly against Rashid even considering doing a reboot here. Again, 1 game out, 30 points for. Ryan, I'm going to kick it off to you. Where are you at on this?
Yeah, I mean, running that off, like, I know Hubbard's one of those top 10 guys, and maybe when Brooks comes back, he's not a top 10 guy, but I don't think they're gonna immediately give Jonathan Brooks 25, 30 touches a game. I think it's gonna definitely be a split. So even at that floor, say he's, a low end RB2, it's still a guy that you want on your team.
Yep.
He obviously has the 3 studs at running back, and I think he's had obviously some tough matchups, it seems. So he's just got to ride it out. I think I don't really know him trying to go for the number 1 overall pick. I don't know if that's gonna next year make him a contender. I think he is a contender now, like you said, Tim. But is he a contender this year? Probably not. That's being with this record, but his team, I think overall, is definitely one of the stronger ones in the league. And I think you guys had him number 1 ranked overall, right, in the dynasty rankings. So those rankings, I think you guys had me up there too. So it seems like those rankings are pretty accurate. So yeah, I don't think he really can blow it up. I think his team's too good. I think Sam actually agrees with that. So I'm gonna put him down here 1 second.
Yeah.
Jack?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this week, he ended up with almost 130 points, and you're seeing his 2 top receivers there combined for 2.3 points, and he was still able to put up a monster week, and doesn't even have Gibbs in the lineup. And we were questioning that, and
Something we called out.
But it didn't matter. And yeah, he probably could have played him over Chuba, but Chuba still scored a touchdown and put up a respectable 11 points there. Yeah, he's got 3-head monster running back, and Chuba's there just in case. And I still think there's a move there for him to bolster this team even more. He could use a stud receiver, and maybe Puka comes back and is that guy for him. But like you said, with Lamar playing the way he is, and Pitts finally kind of rounding into form, I mean that's ridiculous. 34 points.
So I looked last night while I was prepping the rundown. and I'm just going to quickly pull it up again. I know that these were all like top 10 games, but most of them were top 5 at the quarterback position. So it's not like he's just exploding like a couple of weeks here and there.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had 1 game, which was week 6, quarterback 12. And then against Las Vegas, week 2, quarterback 9. Other than that, he has almost exclusively been a top 5. Buffalo, week 4, he was number 6 with 23.64 points.
It's unbelievable. He's That's someone that can carry your roster. I know quarterbacks we kind of think about in years past is like, oh, you can find one anywhere. But if you're one of those contending teams, like having a quarterback that gets you like 25 points, 25 points consistently, it can just like take you to that next level.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's I'm nervous. I'm nervous sitting only a game ahead of him. Carney's a game ahead of him. We're at the halfway point right now. So you gotta look at it. He went 2-5 the first half of the season. You probably want him to go if he can manage to go 5-2 and get back to 500, he probably gets in. But it's a tall task. 5-2 is tough to do. If he goes 4-3, maybe it's a down year for the league, and 6-8 gets you in. But I would assume you gotta get to 7 wins to make the playoffs this year.
Yep. And let me just go quickly. I'm going to be really quick about this. Give me a second. All right. So Rashid has averaged 103.19 points. But again, his max average on the season, 141.2. So there's a lot of points left on the bench. And I do think that entirely speaks to the depth of this team. And we just went over the injury roundup. And there are going to be a lot of teams that are hit hard with an injury. And for Rashid, he can take an injury and keep rolling here. Obviously, he's got to get some help at the wide receiver position, but did just trade Kareem Hunt for a third. So maybe you package a 2-3 or something to that extent, and you go get another wide receiver just to bolster this roster. Maybe until Puka gets back.
Yeah. Well, Olave should be back this week too.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
eh,
I think Olave's a top 20 receiver for him when
And Cooper, we didn't really talk about
oh
that.
yeah.
I'm gonna completely fade that nonsense of Chris Olave. Okay.
All right, we'll see. I think he's a young player and he's had some big weeks. And that offense has been banged up. That old line's been banged up, and they're getting some guys back here. So I think that offense kind of gets back on its horse over the second half of the season.
When's Carr back, Jack?
Uh, maybe this week.
Olave,
Definitely next week.
sorry, same.
No, you're good.
But it's Olave. I mean, is he even really consideration? I guess without Carr, like his Rattler's the guy.
I don't know. I think that doesn't make a
Here.
difference as much. The Carr versus Rattler. I think they're both pretty mediocre quarterbacks. I think it's more so the offensive line has been banged up and has been able to move the ball the entire offense.
I don't really want to jump past that, but you said Rattler and Carr.
Yeah.
Same tier quarterback. Is that what you just said?
Doing?
I would consider them one. I wouldn't. It's not. Neither one of them are going to win you a game by themselves. They need to be schemed up in the right way. And
okay.
Yeah. Carr. I mean, I don't think Carr is a top 15 guy. I'd say he's probably within that 15 to 20 range.
All right, okay. We're gonna save this talk for the Saints pod, okay? Because we got 10 minutes left. We got to get through the power rankings here.
Yeah, it's all right. You had your time to talk about Najee's career game and the Steelers' best game in the last 6 years. So, all right.
Hey, a big night for me. All right, let me enjoy the moment. Talking about what's his name? Who's that little quarterback tight end? What's his Taysom Hill? Yeah. Steve Young.
You're starting tight end for the first couple weeks.
That's true. I got burned. All right, so let's get into the power rankings here and the changes that happen. So Kevin obviously still on top. He is dominating points for too, so he could take a couple of losses here. 888 points for 6-1. Clear 1 seed, has been the clear 1 seed for a long time here. I vaulted up 2 spots. I'm now 5-2, 742 points for. Again, rough. We talked about it. He's now the number 3 seed, vaulted up 2 spots. 5-2, 738 points for. Ryan, you moved down 2 spots. 4-3, 746 points for. Bum went down 2 spots. 4-3, 734 points. And Jack, you are rounding out the playoff window right now at seed number 6 with a negative win-loss 3-4, 3-4, excuse me, and you have 751 points for. Just outside the playoffs here, we have Carney, 3-4, 672 points for. 8 seed, moved up a spot, Rashid, 2-5, 722 points for. And then Jill, right now, she moved down a seed, unfortunately, 2-5, 697 points for, just a shade under 100 points per week. And then Hermes, unfortunately, 1-6, 746 points.
Wow. The points for is tight besides Kevin, basically, right?
Yeah, especially yeah, you said it. Especially with Kevin, he's way up there. But seeds 2 through 6, I'm all over the place here. Really
Two
not.
through 10.
Yeah, I mean, I
I mean,
don't want
Hermes
to.
has as many points as the
He
rest of us.
he does. Hermes is right there. Rashid is right there. He's like 20 points, 7 weeks. We're talking about 3 points a week. Um, Carney 670, and then Jill right at 700. But again, we're talking about a 7 week spread, so it's really, even though it's like 50-ish points, it's not too much of a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy how close the league is. And it's like week to week. So many things can change. I mean, if it all it's gonna take is like one team to like pop off for like, there's always that random like 150 point week that someone throws up. And I mean if someone does that in the next couple weeks, that's gonna like catapult them up the standings. So um yeah, again, 130 points for Rashid this week was huge for him to kind of get him back in that conversation of points for. And um yeah, it's gonna be real sweaty down the stretch. Obviously, me and Carney are on a downward trend, and the teams below us are on a little bit of an upward trend. But we'll see. Things can happen week to week. I've had some injuries. Carney's been a little banged up at running back position, but at this point in the season, everyone's kind of had injuries, as we talked about at the front of the pod.
Yep. All right, so that's what I had for the rundown. We have about 5 minutes left. Jack, Ryan, anything else you guys wanted to add?
I'd like to take a minute to come on here and defend the honor of my wife and myself. Um, both could call pretenders last week, and I don't know if that's the case. I think I'm a strong team. I think Jillian is a strong team as well. Maybe her players haven't performed, up to their abilities the first 7 weeks, but um, yeah, I think she's still a team to watch in this league, and we'll see how the next 7 weeks go.
Hey, you know what? I 100% agree with you. I'd like to formally apologize to your wife. What I said was completely
Thank,
uncalled for.
thank you.
Just man to man. Just being
Yep.
honest with you through this Zoom, all right?
Yep. I
Um,
appreciate that.
I know I told you right after, I felt like that pretender was a little bit of a cop out for me because you were the only one who wasn't going to freak out and take it personally. Samuel, I
I'm gonna
apologize for
apologize to him as well. I mean,
I'm sorry, guy. I'm
yeah.
sorry. So yeah.
Do,
Oh, he's not too happy.
no. Do we
So
want
yeah,
to I don't think are we gonna probably not have time for a preview this week? Do we want to just like look at the week 8 matchups?
yeah. Why don't we just
Just
look
to
at it quickly
yeah.
and let's not go through anything. So Jack, you want to kick it off here?
Yeah, I'd say probably just the biggest game of the week right there. But some teams can have 6 wins with Tim versus Ruff. So that's a huge game. Winner's gonna be the clear 2 seed. And then a huge game right there between me and Jillian. I'm a little nervous with Tua coming back. If she's got Waddle and HN in the lineup. And I think it's a must-win game. I mean, if she beats me and we'll be both be tied at 3-5, and looks like Rashid's playing Hermes, so that's wow, another another huge game. The loser of that game, it's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs. So that is, I know we said last week with the Rashid versus Jill matchup, but I think they had the right teams lose with like me and Carney both losing to kind of keep them close. So I think either one of those teams can still make it. But with that being said, this Hermes versus Rashid matchup, whoever loses this, it's going to be very tough for them. And if it's Hermes that wins, I think it'll be tough for either one of them to make the playoffs. Um, so that's a big matchup and one to look out for, even though it's kind of two losing records. And then Tyler versus Kevin. I expect Kevin to kind of keep rolling, but I know Tyler kind of gets up for these big games, so I expect him to put up a fight. And then Ryan versus Carney. It doesn't get any easier for Carney. I feel like he's been kind of going through the gauntlet right now, and there's a good chance that he drops the 3-5 here after this week. So could be some big shakeups as it is every week with all of us being so close. Um, oh, I hate to see that bench warmer of the week, Brian Thomas. It was, I meant to mention it in our matchup preview, but I just couldn't get around to Christian Gonzalez shadowing him, but he took it to Christian Gonzalez. So I was impressed, and he's an every week starter at this point. So that's on me, Brian. Um, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm a sicko. I'm excited. I love watching all the matchups, how they play out. Not even just mine. So. Yeah, didn't feel like there was many close games. I think ours was the only one that came down to last night, Tim.
Yeah.
So I would expect some closer games this weekend.
Do you want to apologize to Ryan? I feel like Ryan's game kind of was dependent on last night.
Uh, I didn't think so. I thought it was kind of wrapped up.
Yeah, it was a long shot. I think I was down like 45 or something like that going into, or maybe more than that. I think Purdy had that touchdown called
Rushing
back,
touch.
and then
Yeah.
like ends up running it in. So that was tough.
Hey, all you need is a
That's
hope.
how I
Hope
felt
and a
watching
dream.
it too. But yeah, I think I was lost anyway.
Alrighty, and then just maybe public service announcement. Hermes Rashid, figure out a trade for Cooper Cup. I get that Rashid has Puka. Figure out a trade for Cooper Cup. Let's get this done. Rashid's needs a wide receiver. Hermes, he's an older guy. You got to get rid of him. You're 1-6 at this point. I'd move on.
Yeah. I guess parting words. I think Olave outscores Cup the rest of the season, but no, that's just me.
Okay, all right. Ryan,
Yeah, once again, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing who you guys have on next. And I'll keep listening.
yeah, we loved having you on, guy. We loved having Samuel on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Samuel.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty. Well, that will do it for us. We hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll come back with the preview sometime soon.
Probably get shut out in a second here. So.